Hello there folks, it is game number 1 of the Gonzi Community Cup Finals that happened just the other weekend. First Sunday of every month, if anybody was wondering. The finals, it's a TVZ. Predator was playing like a total boss the entire tournament that I got to cast most of his games, and then Riser, somebody that I did not unfortunately get to watch a lot of his games up until the final. But I was very happy it was a TVZ because there was a lot of Terrans that made it into this tournament for whatever reason. Therefore, when we get a little bit of variance in there, it's fantastic. Now, Predator took out a couple of the reigning champions on his way in there, which is why I casted some of those games. Had several different types of builds in his pocket. Seen him play the mech, seen him play the bio, really good at doing drops and aggression, and at other times playing really solid macro games. We're on a 4-player map, so we got ourselves a little bit of time. And I'm going to have myself some African Solstice tea, because I'm super classy like that. That, and it's early enough in the day that the beers will come later. Would think these guys would like to go expansion first. We're going to see scouting coming out of Predator right away. On these 4-player maps, I like the idea of scouting early on. Yeah, you could be at home getting some economy, and you're generally pretty safe. But we see a lot of opponents that also like to open up with really aggressive strategies. So sometimes it's in your best interests to just go out there and see what's going out on the map. The Zerg player will expand, as a Zerg player would do even on a 2-player map in most cases. So it is a best of 5 series, and we actually had best of 3s throughout the entire tournament, which was a bit of a change-up. Usually it was just a best of 1 up until about the semis, but giving people 3 games to play actually made it a lot more interesting. We didn't have a lot of 2-game series. I actually had a lot of 3-game series. So it was good to be able to have just a bit of change up there. A lot of balance between both players, so I like it when you don't just lose to a specific build and then your tournament's kind of over. So this way it gives everybody a chance to at least play a couple of games and to see what they're worth up against other people. These are masters level players. We did have some people in there from Diamond, I think 1 or 2 platinums or golds, because it's open to anybody to come in and give it a try. But ultimately we're going to see some of these very strong players come out towards the end. We actually had a pretty good viewing there for people coming out on our Sunday to watch the stream. Risers we saw in some of the other games that I had casted after the fact. Big fan of getting out earlier speed. Dealing with a Terran, sometimes it's just nice. You don't know if it's going to be Reapers coming or a lot of Hellions on the map. Having in place something that's going to be able to get surrounds, very important. Barracks is just finishing up now because the command center went first. And the Terran did come in and scout that everything's pretty normal. Saw that there was a hatch down, saw the pool timing, and gas was taken. So he should feel pretty comfortable where he's at right now. We didn't have a really sneaky, aggressive 3rd hatch out of the Zerg player as of yet. Might be coming down here in the next little bit. The Zerg player, on the other hand, has not seen anything of his opponent. So he doesn't know what he's going to go up against here. And that becomes a big problem. We actually have a factory coming down here pretty fast after that barracks. The reason why it's a fairly big problem is there's some really good aggressive Terran strategies you can have in the early game, usually relating to really big bio pushes or getting into mass hellions, something that can throw a Zerg player off that they really can't defend very well unless they've prepared well for it. We can see that the zerglings were here to deal with any type of Reapers. Seeing none come in, he's going to start bouncing out onto the map. Terran did hang around down here just long enough to be able to see if there was in fact another hatch happening. These players are pretty good. They know their timings. Not seeing a hatch go down at this point should be telling them that there's going to be at least a few units coming across the map, and then there might be a bit more teching up happening. Where's my tea? There's my tea. Keeping me nice and warm. It's actually gorgeous outside right now. I'm up in Canada, and it's now getting into a nice consistent 10-15 degrees above zero. Gonna have lots of patio season this year. And we do have double factory coming out right now. Now, as I said, Predator was good at playing mech and bio, but 2 factories this fast will generally tell me that it's going to be some sort of blue flame hellion build. And seeing the tech lab go down here on this barracks, likely for the transition, is what I'm going to put my money down on. If he was going to be tanks, you would think we'd see a bit more marines, maybe widow mines, but I've been wrong in the past once or twice. Zerg player really hasn't invested in any other gases other than just this one, and it looks like he's just finally retaken it as well. Just wanted to get out the speed, wanted to get out a really huge amount of economy, and if we look, He's up by a good chunk of workers right now because he's done a lot of runs. And I do like that he's getting out extra queens. I believe he's going up to 5 now in total. And he's going to creep up all of his bases just to make sure. Big pile of zerglings come out along with the blue flame up here for the Terran. So it is going to be a big time blue flame push. Now what's important about this is how do you disguise it well. The zerg player is not scouting yet to see that this is happening. So there's plenty of time for him to scout if he wanted to move in one of these overlords. Now I want to see if he moves out with a handful of hellions or if he's going to wait for that giant pile and just kind of surprise all at once. I like moving out with a handful first because it looks like that normal hellion amount that Terrans have. But if you go out there with, a lot more than that, then it starts making a bit more sense that there's more than one factory, and that there's a good chance that we will be having blue flame come out there. It looks like he is just going to disguise the number of hellions for right now. And this should make the zerg player a little bit... Oh, he does have a couple out here, never mind. So the zerg player shouldn't be too concerned. This is just an average amount of hellions out. And he's probably just macroing back at home. But this is when me as a zerg player, I like to send in one of my overlords, because this is when the tech is defined. Same thing with the Protoss players. Right around now, you're going to start seeing what their choice is. If it's going into a big bio, big mech, maybe another command center. And that's what the most important thing zerg players will look for in the early game as a professional level is, did that third command center go down? Is my opponent going big macro, or is there timing? Because all there's out right now for the zerg player are these zerglings. Some queens, yes, queens, but with this many hellions, the queens aren't going to stand a really big chance. He's teching up right now, getting his gases. His lair's just started, same with his baneling nest. Seeing that blue flame is probably very disappointing. He's going to kill that queen, but he's actually going to take a second out here and see how many drones he can get. Oh, man. Preemptively trying to move him around. He's going to try to split up as best as he can here. Zerglings pop out, but I mean, really, that's going to buy just the slightest amount of time, and they're essentially just going to get thrown away here. A couple of drones are fighting right now, and it's getting a bit of a surround. So it looks like he will finally clean up some of these hellions. So there's a pretty good little contain there by Riser on those hellions, but he lost 30 workers. Oh, man. So what do you do now? As a Zerg player, what do you do now? You could go for a retaliation, but if it is mech and there's one tank out, you won't break it. And we'll actually see him going up to 5 factory and his other command centers finished. So he's doing what I think is probably the best thing he can do, which is to start droning up ridiculously. I mean, this is delaying you huge. You got to remake 30 drones. But if you can't go and defeat your opponent, you do really have to try to get that economy back out. 6 more hellions on the way, going to try and get damage. The Terran player, Predator here, is in a perfect position. Thors on the way, more hellions, +1 attack. Zerg player is ahead on upgrades. All of his production facilities in place. Now, we can see if we can get a little bit more damage. He was at 30 worker kills before. I love being in this position as a Terran player. It's happened to me a lot of times when I've done mass hellion or blue flame hellion pushes. All you do is essentially kill so many drones that it puts them far behind and have to re-drone up. And then you just go home and macro up like a total monster and in complete safety. We do have an engineering bay going down as well as Thors. Big oversaturation at these bases. One of those bases, but he'll transfer over a bunch to his new base here in just a second. I've got his pose. Yeah, there we go. And that'll even things out quite a bit. Units-wise, Zerg player's just about caught up again, so they're about even on overall workers. But what really can you do about this? We did see the infestation pit going down, which will probably turn into, broodlords. We got the enduring locusts on the way, as well as the lair. So he's going to try to just crawl his way back from this. This hatch is going down. Looks like a small drop was going to happen for a second as well. Yeah, I don't know what those zerglings are hoping to get done. So he's going to split up his energy. He's going to try to drop some on one side. Looks like some hellions, sorry, some zerglings here are in position. Medevac starting to take a few shots. On the other side, the hellions are just kind of dawdling at the front here, so it looks like he could lose a bunch of these units potentially. Oh no, he got a great position on his hellions here. Try to pull a few zerglings back so they don't all get lined up. Queens are going to come in here and try to clean things up. Zerglings are dying super fast, and he sees the spire. In fact, there's 2 spires. I wonder if that's a bit of a mistake. I mean, it's tough to be able to afford to go spire and locusts. And roaches. Terran player is up by over 50 supply right now. Double upgrades happening. Tanks, hellbats, thors, and lots of missile turrets. I played the same way. I love being safe before anything else. Even extra command centers in position. He's in the top spot. I expect him to go maybe another 10-20 supply and just push. You don't generally need a max as a Terran player with this kind of army. It's usually around the 160 is about the earliest you'll go though. Good tea. Good tea, Sean. This base is going down. We have 5 locusts. If he didn't get those 2 spires and those roaches, he probably would have had about... Actually, look at his mineral bank. He really wants to get those upgrades down, and I don't blame him for that. But unfortunately, he doesn't really have a lot of units. 5 swarmhosts is not going to stand up against this amount of blue flame mech. He's making a run of 13 drones at the perfectly wrong time. This mech will have +2 attack, likely ready by the time he is down there. 1 Viking's trying to clear up a little bit of space. I'm going to try to disguise that this attack is coming. We still just see more upgrades, more hatcheries. There's finally a few more swarmhosts on the way. But he really doesn't have that many. This mech is just about to crush through everything here. Yeah, there is 2-2. No, there's 2-1, I believe, yeah, in place for this stuff. I mean, that's help. It's going to do some damage here against these hellbats. But he's going to have to lift up and move away. It's going to take too long for the next round to come out here. He does save them. The roaches are going to buffer a little bit for the swarmhosts. Swarmhosts suck when you're trying to micro them. 6 tanks in position here, going to really just bombard it. This roaches melt. Swarmhosts are going to have to try and make another run back. He's down by 60 supply, evacuating this base. He's just got this handful of locusts. 6 more about to pop. Damn, that sound bothers me so much. And it looks like the Zerg player is just going to GG anyways. Getting sieged up in such a good spot. Could he have held out a bit longer? Tough to say with this kind of army moving across the map. Great opening game there from the Terran player, and we're moving on into game number 2.